your belief around money is my security is not in harmony with investing to grow your business.
Right.
And so I have to change my thinking or my operating system to be more in harmony with growth and investing if I want to take it to the next level. And so the way that we upgrade that operating system or that mindset, research has proven there's only two ways.
Welcome to The Expansion Code. I'm Heather, and I could not be more excited to finally launch this podcast. This is the space where we dive into all things business, growth, leadership, and team expansion. I am really passionate about building something bigger than myself, sharing knowledge, and creating opportunities for others to thrive. I started solo, and now I lead a team of over 50, so trust me, I know the highs and the challenges and the incredible moments that come with scaling a business. Throughout this podcast, I'll be sharing insights, strategies, and conversations with some truly incredible guests. We are going to cover everything from marketing and leadership to mindset shifts and business expansion. So my goal is to give you real actionable takeaways that you can apply to your own journey. Let's dive in, learn together, and unlock what's next. Welcome to The Expansion Code. Welcome back to another episode of The Expansion Code with me, Heather Dick, your host. It is a pleasure to have Stacey Berger on the podcast today. Stacey Berger is a transformational coach in life and business, correct?
Yes, exactly.
And a mover and a shaker. So today we are going to be discussing a lot of mindset blocks that entrepreneurs have, things that we face as business entrepreneurs, whether it's like imposter syndrome or getting out of our own way and not taking risks. And so I am so excited to talk with you today, Stacey.
Thank you.
Thank you. Why don't you give our listeners just a little bit of background about yourself, how you got into this industry, your jam?
Yeah, absolutely. So raised in an entrepreneurial family, my parents were small business owners and I watched them struggle, right? The feast, famine, working all the time. So I never wanted to be a business owner.
Yeah.
And interestingly, went to school for marketing, got my degree in business management and started with an organization and climbed the corporate ladder. So started as an administrative assistant, became a buyer, managed a few $1 million advertising department. And then the last 10 years in that career, we started a subsidiary of the company and I was the general manager for that. So we were raising bank financing, investment capital. We were buying businesses. We were partnering with entrepreneurs and financing them and mentoring them in business. Like I call it my real world MBA.
Right.
So much experience, loved it. And just really, really powerful. And all the while have always had this interest in personal development, spirituality, but I would say I kept those worlds very, very separate, right? It was over here is my professional career and over here's the personal side. And there was just this part of me that wanted to make a bigger impact, wanted to have more freedom, just kind of knew that my time was up in the industry that I was in, which was really tough. I was breadwinner for the family, 3 very, very young kids, and change was hard, as I think we can all understand when you're comfortable in a role and you have responsibilities. But at the end of the day, I couldn't deny that part of me that just really wanted to make a difference. And so ended that corporate career and was just really in the what's next, what's now, or what now. And I hired a career coach actually, who really helped me do some self-assessment, and everything kept leaning towards coaching. Now, this was well over a decade ago. Like I didn't even know what a life coach was. And but knew that I wanted to make an impact, knew that I wanted to make a difference in people's lives, loved business and loved the mindset piece. And so I found a life coaching certification program and I leaned into it, fell in love with the process. And in that process, I could look back at my life and other people's life and go, oh, that's why that was successful. That's why that failed, right? Really started to understand, really, I would call it what's required to create results, kind of that results formula. and thought, okay, I'm going to start a business. I'm going to be all in for 6 months. And after 6 months, I'll reevaluate and see, am I doing this or am I going to go get a job? And just after 6 months, was just so in love with what I was doing. I still didn't imagine building a big business, but really loved what I was doing. And that was over 10 years ago.
Wow.
And since then have, yeah, just been all in and grown this beautiful body of work in the world.
That's amazing. And I think that, there's so much stigma around a life coach, around hiring a coach of any kind. Like we have
Yeah.
so much ego attached to our personal successes, our business successes. And so when we tell people that, oh, I hired a coach, except for in the business industry, because then it's like, oh, well, of course, it's like, it's specific to that. I'm not an
Yeah.
accountant, so I hire someone for my profitability. But when it comes to like changing how you think, there's just so much stigma around getting help with that, and it's crucial for our success.
Yeah. And I used to be embarrassed, right? I'd go to networking meetings and what do you do? I'm a life coach. Like I was embarrassed by it almost because of, well, it was a fairly new industry when I started. Now it's becoming much more common, right? I mean, Fortune 500 companies are hiring life coaches and mindset
Mhm.
coaches because they understand it. So there's definitely a shift happening, but it's so fascinating, Heather, right? Like when we're kids, we know the value of teachers, we know the value of sports coaches, we know the value of getting help in something you don't know. But when we become adults, we think we're supposed to have it all figured out somehow.
And we don't.
And we don't.
Yeah.
We
And
don't.
that's okay. That's okay, especially, I mean, the main listeners on this podcast will be business, like beauty entrepreneurs. And so people really in the creative industry. And our passion is colors and people. And so what happens lots of times is I see, and I see this all the time in my business because I'm essentially like, I call myself like a slumlord, because I rent to a bunch of people. Um, they think they can make it, but they don't know how. And a lot of times it's unreasonable expectations. It's not preparing themselves. It's having that lack mentality just take over every single aspect of their business. And I'm really interested to hear how you work with clients and how you get them to kind of break down those barriers.
Yeah, it's fascinating what you're saying when, people in the beauty industry and in the corporate world, I worked with a lot of pharmacists. And so they were entrepreneurial, they wanted to own their own business, but they had one business class.
Right.
And so they didn't know about money and people and marketing and all of those things, right? But they had the entrepreneurial spirit and they knew they wanted more and they wanted to make a difference. And so that longing, first of all, is the most important thing, right? To have the
Hmm.
desire for something more, and then going and getting the support to fill the gaps, really really important to help cross the gap, right, between where you are and where you want to go. And the first place I always start with people is in creating a vision.
Mm,
And I, work with a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business owners, but no matter for anybody, it's a vision that's full spectrum. Because this is the other thing that happens is people are successful in their business, but they're bankrupt in their relationships or their health.
so true.
And that's why I didn't want to go into business because I didn't want to do it the way my parents did it. And it wasn't until I realized just because they did it that way doesn't mean I have to do it that way. And so really creating a vision for what would you love in your business? What would you love with your health, your relationships, the freedom that you have? But in the absence of having that vision, we just do what we think we're supposed to be doing, what other people are modeling. And so starting with the end in mind is always where we start.
I don't know if you can share this or if you can even come up with this on the spot, but what is the one thing that what's the most common thing that your clients want?
Freedom.
Yeah. Hey,
Freedom, really,
interesting.
right? To do what they want to do, when they want to do it, go where they want to go. I would say that's the number one thing, and it disguises itself differently. People will say, "Well, I want more money,"
Hmm.
but when you say, "Well, what do you want money for?" Well, just so I can go do these things. So they think
Hmm.
it's the money, but it's really not the money. It's what that's going to open up. open
Mhm.
them up to. And I would say the other thing is meaning, right?
Mm.
They want to know that their life mattered, that they made a difference, that they contributed, right? They don't want to have regret. And so that purpose, that passion, and that freedom, I would say, really are underlying everything.
Mm. Oh my gosh, I'm getting teary-eyed. It's because it's so relatable, everything you're talking about. It's like it's so true. It's you see this again, I'm a slumlord of businesses. So like and I say that obviously with a jovial aspect, but they're wonderful. But that is the thing. They want to be able to go for lunch on a Wednesday. They want to be able to pick up their kids from school
Yes.
at 2:30, not 5:30 from the daycare.
Yes.
And people get into business ownership and entrepreneurial lifestyles for that reason, not realizing that sometimes money actually like you make a lot less money, like, and it's hard. It is a hustle doing this.
Yeah. It's not easy. And when you have coaching, when you have support, when you have structures around you, it makes it much easier. When we would mentor people back in corporate, we would see business owners that had the support and business owners that didn't. And having that mentorship would usually cut down the learning curve by 5 years.
Wow.
Like it's expensive to try to figure it out on your own. And so having support where people can help shortcut it is so powerful. But yeah, when I started my business, I mean, I got into it because I wanted freedom, right? I wanted more time with my kids. I wanted to do what I wanted to do. And that first year, I had no freedom. I was working 7 days a week. I was working 12-hour days. And it landed me in the hospital, actually, like
Oh,
just the
really?
stress, the fear, the anxiety. And it was really important. I landed in the hospital and it was a powerful moment for me. My kids were 1, 3, and 5. And I'm in a wheelchair. I've got an IV. I'm in a hospital gown, like not well. And my husband brought my kids to see me. And my youngest one comes around the corner, puts her eyes on me, bursts into tears, and runs the other direction,
Oh.
and the heartbreak of that. But it was such a powerful moment. So I talked about vision. The second thing I talk to people about is the power of making a decision.
Mm,
And that was such an important part and moment in my, I would say, career was I made a decision not this way.
mm,
What I was doing was not working. It was not creating the results I wanted. There has to be another way. And there was something within me that day that just like it was no, like, not happening. And I actually, in that moment or in that time, leaned into my coaches even more. I had no money. I mean, I was brand new. There was no money coming in, but I found a way to invest in myself at a higher level because I knew what I was doing wasn't working. I
mhm,
was producing some results, but at the cost of my family and my health. And that next year, not really changing much strategically. I think this is important. I was still doing the same things, but what I changed was my mindset. I changed my awareness. And that next year, I doubled my income working half the hours.
wow.
And that's why I can stand here so confidently and say, your mindset is everything.
Mhm,
And research has even shown like mindset is 95% of your success.
mhm.
5% is strategy. But if you don't have the mindset to match it, you'll continue to spin your wheels. And that's why I'm just so passionate about the mindset piece.
Oh, I love that. Okay, I love so many things. I wish I had a pen and paper so I could write down. I was thinking that when we were talking. Um, First thing that I want to talk that I want to just comment on is that hustle mentality that we have. I was just talking to Kelly Kane. She's a profitable salon coach, so she's in the same realm as you, just a different aspect. And she said, we have this mentality that if we're not waking up at 5 a.m. and we're not hustling and we're not working till 9 p.m., we're not successful. But actually, she's like, now I get up at 7:30, 8. I go to the gym around 10. I start work around 12, 1 o'clock. I know that my hours of success are 1 to 6 p.m. She's like, and I work in those times.
Yeah.
And that is so much more attractive to someone
Yeah.
like me than getting up at 5 a.m. and with the birds and going to bed with the owls. I just made that up, but you know, you know what I mean? And so I think that what you did in your first year of business is it's just not sustainable. But so many people live their whole lives that way. And um, I'm so you mentioned that you didn't have any money, and that you were having to invest in your coaches. So someone that's looking for a level up or looking to change their mindset, but they don't have that money, what's your advice to them? How do you help clients like that?
Find it is what I
Yeah.
say, right? If you think about when something is really really important to you, right? If you got a phone call, hey, your kid's in jail and you got to make bail, you're going to find a way to make bail. If your
Mm,
fridge runs down, you're going to or breaks down, you're going to find a way to replace your fridge. When something becomes important to you, you find a way to do it. And so it's easy to think, well, I don't have the money and talk about scarcity mindset. But if this is important to you, recognizing this is an investment in yourself, in your dreams, that's going to pay a dividend, pay a return.
mhm.
And so there's always a way for us to find the money if we've made the decision this is something important to us.
Yeah.
Now, there's all kinds of free resources out there. I have a YouTube channel, there's hundreds and hundreds of videos on there, and truthfully, information alone is not enough, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we call it shelf help books, right? You can read all the books in the world. It's an important part, right? I do a ton of reading, ton of podcast listening, but having that coaching, having that mentorship, we can't see our own subconscious blocks. We can't see what's blocking us. But find a way and recognize that it will return to you over the rest of your life.
Mhm. So I think that awareness is a really big part of this, even just awareness at the beginning, like, I need help.
Yeah.
When someone is coming to you and they don't even have that awareness, how do you break that down with someone right off the hop?
Yeah, I take people through a process, right? So, first of all, doing a bit of a self assessment. How am I doing in my life? Most of us don't know to check in with ourselves, right? We're coasting, we're surviving. We think this is the way life is. We push down our discontent because we don't know how to change it. So I really take people through a process of doing a bit of a life assessment. How are you doing if you're really honest with yourself? And then really getting more clarity about your vision and where do you want to be. And usually, what that helps to do is recognize there's a gap between where we are and where we want to be. And the truth is, if we could close the gap on our own, we would,
Mhm.
but much easier with support. And a couple examples I like to use is I mean, the most successful business owners have coaches, have mentorship, but elite athletes. When
Right.
you look at athletes, I always say Connor McDavid did not fire his coaches when he got to the NHL. He got more coaches because he
Right.
wants to be even better. And so, personalizing that, we understand it with athletes that they visualize their results, they visualize their success. We know how important that mindset is for them. Same thing applies to us as business owners. Do you have a vision? How often are you visualizing yourself in that? And you can't see where you're stuck. And that's where we need each other for.
It's so true. I accidentally hired a transformational life coach one time, and we met at the gym, and we were drawn to each other. I'm an extroverted person, so I'm a very social person, talk to lots of people, and she's like, we should go for coffee. And so we went for coffee, and told me what she did, and she does, what you do. And I think in that moment, it was such a shift in my life for being able to be aware. And so now that I worked with that coach for almost a year, when something comes up, I'm so introspective. I'm like, oh boy,
Yeah.
something's happening. I'm overdoing it, or I'm too focused on one thing. And do think we need coaches throughout our whole career, like you had said. So I certainly could go back to I could hire you. But it's hard, I think, for entrepreneurs to see what they need if they don't know,
Yeah.
So how do you convince someone, or not even convince, but how do you get in front of people that need you when they don't know that they need you?
Yeah. Well, in conversations like this,
Yeah.
right? And as people are listening, um, and I would say most people that I work with have some sort of awareness, right? They've worked with a personal trainer. They understand I got better results with a trainer. They're again in business. I think there's more of a lexicon to the power of coaching and awareness. And the other piece that I think is important is I believe everybody on our planet could benefit from having coaching. And when you're ready, right? When the student is ready, the teacher appears. And
Right.
so I think that the more somebody is struggling, the more they're seeking, the more they're looking, then all of a sudden they land on resources, right? You're scrolling through social and all of a sudden you see the right ad or the right post. Um, Bob Proctor, who's one of my longtime mentors, he used to say, I go where I'm wanted, not where I'm needed.
Mm,
And that's certainly something I've adopted, right? If somebody has to be ready and willing to transform, to invest in themselves. And when they've got those two things, I'm here. But I'm not going to go to try and convince somebody that this is what they need.
mhm.
I'm here when you're ready, is how I feel.
Yeah, it's so okay, so the transformational coach that I hired, her mentor was Bob Proctor as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so I would like to talk to you about failures and setbacks because as business owners, oh my gosh, I mean, as people, we have these on a daily, weekly basis. So when one of your clients or if someone's coming to you because they've had a huge failure in their business, how do you work through that mindset with them when they're just absolutely beaten down and ready to close the doors?
Yeah, and there lots of different tools and take people through lots of different supports on that. I think fundamentally one of the core beliefs we need to adopt is that failure is part of life. I have read hundreds of autobiographies. I've listened, I mean, any person I've studied that has achieved a level of success talks about their failures.
Mhm.
We Nobody is immune to that. And just like, when we're kids and we're learning to ride a bike, we fall off the bike. When we're learning a
Yes.
new language, when we're learning a sport, we miss the shot. We're not good at it. But when we become adults, again, we stop giving ourselves permission to fail. And so the fundamental belief that fear and failure are going to be part of our journey, and I'm either going to look at those failures as a stepping stone into the next thing, or it's a block and I'm not going to get past it. And that's the power that we have, right? We're going to have failures. It's what we do with those failures. And so, one of the biggest things I encourage people to do is really look for what did I learn from this? What good can come from this? And to start really cultivating the good and the gold, because that's going to help inform what's next. And help you learn from that as you continue to grow. So give yourself the pity party, right? Feel the disappointment, feel the sadness. And then now what? Now what? What good can come from this? What good did come from this? What can I learn? How am I going to use this? And then back to that vision. What's next?
Do you think that certain failures can come from different okay, let me try to think about how to word this because I'm thinking about a specific failure of mine that was motivated by money.
Okay.
um but and so what happened was I think we discussed this when I was on your YouTube channel. So and I'm trying to relate it to people listening. I had this idea to offer and level up in my business, and I wanted to offer these packages and really become like the luxury bridal hair and makeup team. But I wasn't motivated by raising my clients' experience. I was motivated by making more money.
Yeah.
And I think that, I mean, I've read lots of books on giving your clients value and more value than they pay. Do you think that that failures could be not avoided because of course we have them, but do you think that there's different motivations that will result in failure?
Absolutely. And I think you and I did talk about this, Heather. And when I asked you the question, was your intuition telling you not to do this? And you said, yeah,
Yeah.
right. So, noticing when we're making decisions based on other people's opinions, what we think we should be doing, what the experts are even telling us that we're doing, but paying attention and learning to listen to what I call the still small voice, right? That gut feeling, that intuition. And chances are, in hindsight, we usually can go, yeah, I knew better, right? But we didn't listen. So yeah, we can avoid lots of mistakes, lots of failures with proper tools, support, and just paying attention to that intuition and that gut feeling. So yes, failure is inevitable, and there's ways that we can prevent having those different failures and making those mistakes.
I think also as business owners, we're afraid we're going to lose credibility when we fail. And so especially with someone that has a team, if you really start to implement something and you're like, "Oh, let's gung ho, this is how we're doing it and this is it." And then it fails, we're worried that it's going to lose credibility, but it doesn't. You know,
Yeah.
it's okay. They're failures too. Like, everyone tries new things and fails. And why is it that when we become adults, we're scared to do all of this stuff? Why do we stop being fun? Why do we stop playing? Like, what is it? Is it like an innate thing? Why, Stacey? Why are we doing this?
Yeah, well, and it's true, we all do it, and I've certainly had that where I've had goals for events and people, and I can see we're not gonna hit that goal, and I've definitely had the thought, "Oh, my team's not gonna think as highly of me," or "My clients aren't going," like, I've definitely, so I just wanna say, first of all, I experience all of those thoughts. It's
Right.
what you do with them that becomes your power, right? If we lean into those. Why we do it, and again, I think foundationally important to understand that we've got two parts of us, right? We have one part of us that is designed for safety. It's designed to be, accepted, and it's about survival. And then there's another part of us that's longing for growth and to do more, be more, have more. So if you can imagine, we always have these two forces at work within us, and that gravitational pull wants to keep us safe. So don't try that, because what will people think? And what if you fail? And what if you can't handle it? And what if you lose all your money? And that's a natural and normal part of our anatomy, our biology, our physiology. And so is the part of us that wants to grow.
Right.
And it really becomes of which part of me am I going to let win?
Hmm.
And we don't always let the part of us that wants to grow win, right? Sometimes we let that little voice that's wants us to play small win. Um, One of the great in those moments to think to the end of your life, right? To go, okay, I'm on the deathbed. What choice do I want to have made here? And there's a great expression, people don't regret the things they did do. They regret the things they didn't do. And so having a higher perspective or a longer term perspective can be helpful in making some of those scary decisions that we get faced with.
Okay, we need to take a little break because, shocker, this podcast is brought to you by my flagship company, Blush, and I need to give a shout out. So, not only does Blush sponsor my lavish lifestyle, it also sponsors this podcast. Shouts. If you know me, you know that I do not play around when it comes to beauty and self care, and that's why Blush is your one stop shop for looking and feeling your best. We genuinely do it all: hair, makeup, nails, massage, tattoo, medi spa. Basically, if it makes you feel like a goddess, we probably offer it. So, whether you're looking for a fresh balayage or a relaxing massage or a little of that I woke up like this glow, we've got the experts to make it happen. Think of it as self care, but with a little extra love, sunshine, and family. And actually, with our most recent expansion, we now have a private gym, physiotherapy, chiropractic services, and a lot more to help your body. So, if you are ready to treat yourself, book an appointment at Blush Artistry because, let's be honest, life's too short for bad hair and uneven eyeliner. You can find us at blush-artistry.ca or over on Instagram at blushartistrymua. Back to the episode. And even just a daily decisions, if your partner is coming in, I think about myself if my partner's coming in and I'm working on my computer and I'm really hyper focused and he's trying to tell me something, this computer work will be here, and I think that as business owners, as entrepreneurs, we're always like, oh, we got to do it now, we got to do it now. But it will be there. And our family won't. Like when your baby came into the room and was scared, it's like, whoa, whoa,
Yeah.
this is not working.
Yeah.
This is not what life is about.
Yeah.
And we get to the end of our lives, and there's a song that I really like from Dennis Lloyd. I'll send it to you. And in the middle, it's someone talking. It says, we never wish we spent more time on our phones. We
Yeah.
never wish we spent more time doing that stuff. It's that we had it with our people.
And that's why I work with people on a full spectrum vision, right? It's, yeah, you're building this business, but what's happening in your relationships and what's happening with your health? Because if we're just so hyper focused on one area, we forget the rest. And
Hmm.
that's not what it's about, right? We really
Hmm.
can have it all, so to speak. Sometimes one area takes a little more energy and time, but not to be at the expense of another area.
Do you have anything that you guide your clients on implementing into their daily routines, or like habitual things that they can create and start doing? Like, do you guide them on anything like that?
Yeah, so a couple of practices, and I have a daily morning pages, or call it a daily to be pages, and I'll get you the link so you can share
Sure.
it. But
Awesome.
it's a powerful morning practice, and it doesn't have to take a long time. The most important thing that we can put on every day is our mindset.
Mm.
And if we don't intentionally put our mindset on, we're just reacting to the day, right? How's your
Hmm.
day going? So far, so good, right? We'll see what happens. Am I late? Do I get cut off? Are my kids grumpy?
Yeah.
We're just reacting to the world around us. And so when we understand the most important thing I can put on is my mindset. And so this daily journaling practice that I have, it's first of all connecting to your vision. So every day be inside of what it is that you're creating, what's important to you. It's asking yourself, what am I grateful for?
Mm.
And really being in the blessings. Gratitude is one of our most powerful tools that we have. So, what are you grateful for? And then, who am I choosing to be today? And so instead of waiting for my conditions to decide what kind of day I have, who am I being today? Am I being fun? Am I being productive? Am I being patient? Am I being playful? But making an advanced decision about what do I want to bring into this day. And then the final piece of that practice is what's one step I can take today to move my vision forward? And that can be, a 5-minute task. That can be a big, scary move. But if you can imagine just taking one step every single day to move that vision forward, you'll be in a completely different place a year from now. And so that would be the daily practice, and done consistently, it's a game changer.
Wow, that was inspiring, Stacey. I'm like, as you're talking, I'm trying, obviously paying attention to you, but I was like, I should put this on my mirror. I should have a piece of paper that says this, because it's so true. But I mean, I say this with a humble heart. I've done a lot of personal growth, and I've had coaches. And so, um, you know, context, last night I stayed up till midnight. It was my best friend's 40th birthday. But I knew that waking up, I had a choice. I always have a choice. We always have a choice in how things go. And especially when you have a team, I mean, you have a team of individuals that work for you as well. It's our job as leaders and owners to guide our team as well and set that pace,
Yeah.
so and one of the girls on the team always says, with her kids mostly, but what you permit, you promote. And that is good for yourself too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we were talking before this episode about procrastination. And I think that business owners, we are very, very well, people in general are really good at procrastinating. I mean, I do it on a regular basis. When you find someone that is procrastinating, is there anything that you can do to kind of break down that, almost like that wall that people have?
Yeah, procrastinating. So again, if you remember, we've got the two parts of us, right? The part that wants to keep us comfortable, the part that wants to keep us safe, and then the part of us that wants to grow. That part of us that wants to keep us comfortable, it'll show up in all sorts of different ways. And
Right.
this is self-sabotage. It doesn't
Mhm.
say, "Hey, I'm here to kill your dream. I'm here to make sure you never feel loved again. I'm here to make sure you never make more money," right? It's really fear at the end of the day, but it disguises itself as practicality. So
Mm.
it can be so subtle and it can be so seductive that we don't even recognize that's what's happening. And so one of the ways it shows up is procrastination. Yeah, I'll do that tomorrow. I'll do that in 5 minutes. I'm just going to clean my desk first. It gets us really busy and overwhelmed with things that feel important, but they're not moving us forward. And so the more awareness that we have, and it always comes back down to awareness, Heather, like you said,
Of course.
the more awareness we have, we can start to acknowledge, oh, this is the part of me that's trying to keep me safe. And if I keep listening to this, where am I going to be a month from now, 3 months from now, 6 months from now? And so it's in the moment that we have the awareness that we then want to do what I call a pattern interrupt. What's a new thought here? What's a new decision I can make here? And what's the action step? And so, in the moment you have that awareness, oh, I'm about to procrastinate, that's the point of power because now I'm aware of it, I can transform it. And you transform it by thinking from your vision. What would the woman in my vision do here? Right? What would I love to create in this moment? What's going to move me forward in this moment? We make a different decision and then we take action. And the important thing is to take action because it's what moves the energy. And so procrastination, perfectionism, confusion, those are some subtle ways that it'll hold us back. But the key is moving energy, right? What can I do? And think in terms of baby steps.
So you're saying if, procrastination a lot of time isn't that you shouldn't be doing something, it's just that we're just not allowing ourselves to take a risk.
Yeah, it's your comfort zone arguing for itself. And so it's doing everything it can to get you to not do the thing that's actually going to move you forward.
Hmm. And I think that this conversation is great for entrepreneurs. It's also great for professionals in general. You don't
Oh
have to
yeah.
own a business
No.
just to have these imposter syndrome and procrastination. Like everyone experiences these feelings on a regular basis.
Absolutely. And I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, but I also work with a lot of people who are trying to attract love into their life or they're trying to improve
Mm.
their physical health or right? This all applies as long as you're going after something that you've never achieved before. As long as you're growing, it's the same sorts of things that will try to get in the way if we're not aware of them.
It's so true. And I think that our relationships, you just touched on it because of that uncomfortability, but if that's a word, but our relationships with things, so our relationships with money is huge. Our relationships
Yeah.
with other people, things that have happened to us. And I remember someone had said to me at one point, well, what's your relationship with money? And I was like, what do you mean? I like it like everyone else? What do you mean? That's like the weirdest thing I've ever heard. But then I thought about it and it's like, oh, I hoard money because I need security, because I want to feel safe. And then you can kind of break it down. And so when I get scared and lots of us do this, we get scared to spend money because we're like, oh my gosh, it's never going to come back to us. But we just have to reframe that thinking. And yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to hear you talk. And obviously I don't want you to give away the farm, but when we have unhealthy relationships with things in our lives, is there a framework that we can do, like a exercise we can do on a regular basis
Yeah.
that we can get out of that?
Yeah, I think again, fundamentally, we want to understand we all have an operating system. So just like your computer has an operating system, we all have an operating system. Our operating system has been installed in us over our lifetime. So we adopted beliefs from our parents, education, cultural upbringing, impactful events in our life, based on our environments. And so beliefs about money, beliefs about what it means to be an entrepreneur, beliefs about risk, beliefs about relationships. So you have this operating system. If you want to know what your operating system is, look at your results because your results are a
Mhm.
direct reflection of your operating system. And so when I say, okay, I have a vision, I have a dream, I have a goal that I want to achieve, your current operating system is not in harmony with that. So we have to upgrade our operating system to be more in harmony with what we want. So your belief around money is my security is not in harmony with investing to grow your business.
Right.
And so I have to change my thinking or my operating system to be more in harmony with growth and investing if I want to take it to the next level. And so the way that we upgrade that operating system or that mindset, research has proven there's only two ways. One is
Okay.
through repetition.
Yep.
So, repetition of a new idea, right? If you were raised with money doesn't grow on trees, you need to get a job and have a pension and really about security, you didn't just hear that once. Like, it was repetitive. And society reinforces our beliefs because we see what we're interested in. And so we need the repetition of a new idea. This is the power of daily repetition of that journaling practice. It's reinforcing thinking that's more in alignment with your vision and gratitude and where you want to go. So, repetition, the other way is through emotional impact, strong emotional impact. Now, most of us wait for negative emotional impact. It's an accident, it's a divorce, it's a diagnosis, it's a bankruptcy, right? It's that proverbial wake up call. We can create positive emotional experiences as well, which most people don't realize. And we do that through immersion experiences, right? If you want to learn a new language, repetition is important, but then go immerse yourself in that country where they don't speak any English. All of a sudden, you're going to learn much faster. And so if it's, I need a new money belief, well, I got to first understand what's my current belief and then what's the new belief. And it's the repetition of that new idea that's going to help change the pattern. And
Wow.
there's lots of more inside of that, but that's like at its core.
You're I've never talked. I mean, we on the YouTube channel when I was a guest, it was you interviewing me, so I was talking a lot and listening to you, Stacey. It's inspiring to say the least. It's incredible how you coached your clients. It's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. It's so fun. And what I would say is, again, I've been doing this for over a decade now, and my ability to see people's what's holding them back, like just the ability to identify in a very short period of time based on their words, based on their results, what's going on. It's so hard to see it for ourselves. This is why I still have coaches. I'm really good. I've got lots of self awareness, but I can't see where I'm bumping up against those blocks. But I think just for people to know transformation is possible. It can be a whole lot easier than you think and much easier when you have community and support in place.
And solo entrepreneurship is so lonely.
Yeah.
We don't
Yeah.
have, I always joke that Chat GTP is my best friend,
Mhm.
um, because those are the people those are the people, that's not even a person, it's a robot. But, when I'm brainstorming, when I'm doing something like that, because at this moment, I don't have a coach in my corner. And so when you have someone that has your best interest in mind, knows what your goal is, whether that's getting your first team member, whether that's stepping into a CEO role, whether it's building and getting another space, expanding your business. Um, we can't do it alone. We just can't. We can't do anything by ourselves.
Yeah.
Well, not anything, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. It's much easier with support. And that's why what you're doing, Heather, and helping people is so important. And you're collapsing time for them because you've been there, done that. You can help, point out some of those roadblocks and what to expect. And really, really important.
It is really important. Um, so at the end of this episode was incredible. This was so valuable. I could sit here and talk to you all day long. Um, I like to give a couple takeaways. Now, you gave the resource that we'll link in the show notes, which is
Yeah.
amazing. So, thank you so much for that. Um, is there anything else that you would like to share with our listeners? 1 to 3 takeaways. Anyone that's feeling stuck or overwhelmed, what's the first step that they should take in moving forward?
Yeah. So, three things I would say. First of all, your vision. So, really having a clear picture of where it is that you want to go and falling in love with that vision. The second thing is you have to make a decision for it. So, noticing where you're sitting in indecision, you're thinking about it, you're waiting for it. And the power of decision that I talk about is deciding in the absence of knowing how. So, not waiting till you know the roadmap, not waiting till you know how you're going to do it. That day with my daughter, I had no idea how I was going to change things. I had no idea what the roadmap was, but it was a decision, not this way. And on the other side of that decision, that's when providence moves. Like that's when the universe will come to support you. And then the third thing is just thinking in terms of baby steps. What's a baby step I can take today, and just keep taking those baby steps, and pretty soon you're in a completely different place. And just the other resource, I run an event 3 times a year. It's called Passion to Purpose Live. It's in person in Edmonton, Alberta, or hybrid, so you can join anywhere in the world, but it's really 3 days of immersing yourself. So we talked about repetition and immersion. This is positive immersion experience, and really helping people get clarity on their vision, putting you in a room full of a community of people who are building their dreams, and really understanding, I would say, at a deeper level, some of the principles that we've been talking about here today, so you can cross that gap. So just that investment, that 3-day investment in yourself, can be an absolute game changer.
Totally. And I think about any time I've done something for myself specifically, a retreat, oh gosh, even a spa day, you feel rejuvenated, you feel ignited, you feel excited about things again. And we are missing so much of that in our daily lives now. We're so disconnected from one another. We feel connected because of social media and, technology, but we don't have our people in our corner anymore. And so you have a lot of participants that come to these workshops. Hey, like 200, like a lot.
Yeah, yeah, there's a couple hundred people, and
Wow.
from all over the world. Like we have people from Spain and South Africa
Wow.
and the States and all over Canada. And so it really is a wonderful community of people who are building their dreams and supporting each other and cheering each other on. So very, very powerful. I'd love to have you, Heather. So we'll have to make arrangements for you to
I
come
was
to
already
the next
thinking,
one.
I'm like, I wonder when these next days are.
Yeah.
So, okay, maybe this is, yeah, we almost should do another podcast on that whole part of your business because, it's one thing to work with clients directly, but then the building of your business is very fascinating to me. So we'll have to
Yeah.
meet again.
Yeah, I would love
Um,
to, yeah, pull back the curtain and let you know the back end and what that looks like for sure.
I would love that. Okay, so where can our listeners find you?
Yeah, so website Stacey Berger, BERGER.ca, and that'll link to all the socials, but we have a YouTube channel, hundreds of mindset videos on there. Follow me on Instagram, Stacey A. Berger. And then I'll send you the links for that, for the next Passion to Purpose, and that journaling page. So I'll make sure you
Awesome.
have those.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And it'll be, again, in the show notes for everyone. You can link it there. So we'll make it easy for you. Stacey, what a pleasure. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for today. I am so happy that we were able to get together and we will have to have you back on the show.
Yeah, you're such a light, Heather. So I enjoy
Oh,
anytime I get to connect with you. Thank
oh
you.
my gosh. I've almost cried like 3 times in this episode. Maybe it's because I'm tired. Okay. Thank you so much. And we will talk to you soon. All right, another episode bites the dust. If you loved this conversation as much as I did, don't forget to hit follow, leave a review, or even send it to a friend you think would enjoy it. And because I like to keep things fun, we're always running giveaways with our amazing guests. So make sure to check with the show notes, our Instagram page, get in on the details on how to get the free stuff because it's free and fun. And who doesn't like that? Another little disclaimer, while I love sharing advice and business wisdom, I am not your lawyer, I'm not your accountant, and I'm not your fairy godmother. If you do want to be best friends, though, you can hit me up. Everything on this podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only, so no lawsuits, okay? Thank you for hanging out with me today. If you'd like to hang out more, you can find me on Instagram at I am Heather Dick and at the Expansion Code. And all of our free resources and consulting packages are on the website, www.theexpansioncode.ca. I appreciate you being here more than you know. I will see you next time.